Hi everyone, welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Stephen and I'm joined by Greg and Terry, and today we're going to be previewing Everton's game against Arsenal at Goodison Park. Terry, I'll go to you first, mate. 2,000 fans back again at Goodison Park. Are you interested to see it? Are you excited?
Yeah, I mean, the last two games I've just got into the preview and said I'm worried, so I might just say it again and hopefully we get another win.
I hope you do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because now I'm telling you the difference. Even I haven't been to Goodison back to Goodison yet, but just watching on television with actual fans there, it just shows how crap football is without fans.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for any game we're playing at Goodison now, as long as we've got even the smallest amount of fans in the stadium. And obviously, it's Arsenal. It's a good chance to, get another 3 points against a team who are struggling at the minute. But I don't like things like that. I'll go into that more in a minute once you've spoken to Greg. But I'm not always one who likes playing teams in bad form, personally.
Yeah, I've got that down as a question for you a bit later in the show, Terry. So I'm interested to see what you think about that. Greg, I'll go to you next, mate. How are we going to get to Arsenal? Do you think it's a better chance for us to, play the same way we did against Leicester and Chelsea, let them have the ball and hit them on the counter attack, or do you think we should go for that vulnerable Arsenal defence right from the offset?
It's tough to say. I don't think we'll get nearly as much coming from them attacking as we did from Leicester or Chelsea. I mean, it's no secret that they're struggling to make chances. I think Saka's going to be bright and making runs, but I don't know if we'll get enough of a chance to sit and counter like we did against Chelsea. I'd say definitely with Gabriel out, we've got to try and strike early, is my opinion.
Yeah, and obviously, I'm sure Carlo will be prepared for whatever it is. It's I'm a bit unsure with Arsenal at the moment because obviously they had that good win at Old Trafford, and they just completely fell off the rails lately. Terry, I'll ask you, mate, what do you think should be the game plan against Arsenal?
Exactly the same. Don't worry about what they're doing. Just play our own game. Go for the clean sheet mentality again. Just play exactly the same way we played. If they need the result, they need to put wins on the board. They will attack us the same way that Chelsea and Leicester do. Possibly not as well as Chelsea and Leicester do.
Yeah.
Because they're not playing very well, they're low on confidence, but they are not going to sit back for the whole game. They can't. They just can't do it. It's not in the makeup of their players either, a lot of them. So just go into the game and play the same way we played against Chelsea in the last home game, and just take the fight to them, but play our own game plan. It might not be as straightforward as that, as you say, because they might come with a less expansive style than Chelsea, who had a lot of them look to be a little bit more careful, but they're certainly not going to sit in and defend. It just isn't in them.
Yeah, and obviously you can't be too much more desperate for a win than Arsenal are at the moment. Coming away to Goodison, they'll definitely be looking to get 3 points because they need it, don't they? And I think a lot of clubs cite Everton away as one of the biggest away games of the season, and for three points for them would just be absolutely massive. So I'm expecting a very different Arsenal team to the one that plays against Burnley and lost 1-0, obviously. But going back to what we were saying before, Terry, about Arsenal not being in great form, do you think that plays into Everton's hands? Do you think it doesn't? Do you think we're at a disadvantage because of the time we're playing them?
Wouldn't say disadvantage because but I personally hate playing, especially good teams who are on bad form, because they're going to turn it around at some point. They're going to win a game. They're going to have a performance that clicks for them, and I'm always scared that we'll be the one. I always want to play teams in sort of somewhere in the middle where they're not flying and battering everyone. They're just playing all right, and then we're the shock result. If we go into this Arsenal game and Arsenal have their turnaround, moments of the season, then we're just the unfortunate team who catch the defeat. So I would have preferred Arsenal to have not been on this run. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're playing Sheffield United or someone like that and they can't get a point got 1 point. Sheffield United haven't really got it in the locker to turn it around and suddenly batter Everton. They might have a game where they get their organisation right and their game plan right and they sneak a result. But the likes of Arsenal have still got Aubameyang. They've still got players, quality players like that who can, on any given day, decide they just, because he loves scoring against us for a start, just to say one of their players. It's dangerous to play a good team in bad form because they've always got that turnaround game in the locker, and I just don't want it to be us.
And you mean
having said that, you go into the game, we're going to be favourites despite our injuries. They've got players out, but so have we. But we're the team in form, so the eyes will be on us to see if we can inflict more misery upon them. And I hope we do. But that's not the way round I'd have it. I like being the underdog in games. I think it suits us more.
Yeah, it definitely benefited us against Chelsea, and it pays off. But when you think of the quality that Arsenal have got, it's a bad time to be playing them, in my opinion. I think I'd rather, like you said, Terry, I'd rather be within sort of around our position and we were playing them. Greg, same question for you, mate. Do you think it's a disadvantage playing them in such a bad spell for them?
No, I don't sweat it so much. I feel like when teams are down on their luck, sometimes they need a bit of a shock to the system, whether that's like a big defeat just to regroup and then start going at things. But they haven't had that. Their losses there's not been anything thumping or anything. They've all just been kind of weak performances where they've not shown much. Whether that's that 1-0 against Burnley. So I can't really see anything in their makeup that's going to have changed them or clicked, or they're losing players, they're not getting players back. I wouldn't say they're showing any more signs of creativity. So for me, I just don't see what would be that spark for changing them.
And Greg, obviously, at the Toffee Blues, you're our source for starting 11s. I'm going to ask you the question. I don't know if you're going to do a video on this one, but is there any players you think should come into the team? Do you think we should keep the same team, obviously barring the one injury he got, which we'll go on to in the Leicester game? What sort of team do you think should play?
I'm always one for don't change your winning formula. I think we will. I think we will see Pickford come in for Olsen. Olsen only seems to come in for one game to rest Pickford a bit. And then obviously the only other change is going to be who replaces Allen, which is a huge decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and obviously it was gutting to see Allen, pull up with his hamstring and get stretched off just before half time. Terry, how much are we going to miss him?
Enormously. Like I'm praying it's not as bad as it looked, the injury, because it's a hammer blow losing Allen. He's one of our least replaceable players.
He just got into a brilliant bit of form as well.
Exactly. There's no other player with a profile like him in the club. Like, obviously, even the other defensive-minded midfielders like Gbamin and Delph are, injured, and they've been injured ever since they've been here practically. So you can't even put a like-for-like sort of positional sense type player in. I expect it will be Andre Gomez. I just based on watching, what Carlo likes to do, seems to be the first sub he goes for. Either Gomez, or he could even, surprise people and bring Sigurdsson back and put James Rodriguez in that sort of number 10 role, where Sigurdsson been playing that. Yeah, he does seem to like Sigurdsson in that deep role as well. We saw that when he played 4-4-2. He trusts Sigurdsson there, and let's be honest, I'm one of Sigurdsson's harshest critics, but he's been really good the last 2 games. So I wouldn't be upset if he did start him again, but further back. He'll be one of them 2 options, I think, because he's got players he trusts. I don't think Gomez suits it at all. I don't know what's happened to Gomez of late, but he seems to just be, defensively, he just might as well not be there. They just go past them constantly, don't they? So we need another spider-like performance from Decore, covering all blades of grass with his legs everywhere. But yeah,
and obviously it's not something I've I think you sort of, as an Evertonian, there's certain questions that you try not to think about until match day, and I think who should start instead of Allen is the big one at the moment. I haven't put myself through the ringer and thought about who's going to be there, because it's such a tough one, isn't it, Greg? Terry's made a good point there. Sigurdsson could come in if James Rodriguez is fit. But who would you play in that position? Because obviously Alan's such a big miss, isn't he?
Yeah, I think I'd agree to play Andrew Gomez. I think that's what it's what Ancelotti went for straight away when Alan went off, and it seemed to work. I mean, if there was an audition for who could play that role, I think Decore did very well in doing the job as soon as Alan went off. So I think that's what we'll see. Decore just getting back and doing some defensive duties, and Gomez doing what he does.
Yeah, it's just it's a big if. Are we going to be able to play that really good game plan that we used against Leicester and Chelsea? Because obviously in the second half we carried that form from the first half we did have with Alan into the second half, which was really promising. We got ourselves another goal, but the fact that Sigurdsson could be moved deeper and Gomez could be dropped out, Rodriguez could come back in, it's just making me think: are we going to get overrun in midfield by this Arsenal team, who obviously aren't great in midfield themselves? But are we gonna struggle to keep up with them if they try to counter attack? Are we going to get passed around? Is there going to be a problem with? Because obviously Gylfi Sigurdsson's not the fastest compared to Alan. It's such a tough question, isn't it? And there's so many players who could play there, but none of them as well as Alan. And I think if he does use Sigurdsson in that deep role, we're going to have to see a masterclass from Abdoulaye Doucouré. It's almost like he's going to be playing two positions there. But anyway, moving on from the negative stuff. Terry, a win moves us up, near to the top of the table if results go for us. And I was thinking about it today. Is this the most important game in our season so far?
Yeah, it's in a word, yeah. Crucial time of the season. It'd be good to build on those last two results. If you lose to Arsenal, it sort of takes the shine off a little bit, doesn't it? It's you've gone into December and you're a little bit middling. But if you get 3 wins on the spin against good teams, especially when you've got more good teams coming up, we've got the likes of City coming up, and we've got the Carabao Cup against United. A win here would really, you can just carry that into the rest of the Christmas games. Then tiredness doesn't kick in as much because you just you're on a win and run. It just affects your whole December if you can put a little run together. It gives you that extra 10%, which the teams lose at this time of year. So yeah, it's probably the most important game since the Merseyside derby, when that was, can we carry on the form after the international break, and then obviously on top of that was a Merseyside derby. But those two were the keystone games, I think, in the season. This game and that game, and it for the same reason. Can we build on a run of good performances and make it stick, or will we go back to inconsistency and sort of float middle and part of the table?
Yeah, Greg, I want to ask you the same question because I think it might split opinions. That is this game coming up our biggest of the season? Because obviously Terry mentioned that the Merseyside derby was a massive game when it was played, but obviously that was pretty early on in the season. Our situation's changed since then. Liverpool's situation's changed since then, and now obviously Arsenal's situation, who we're playing this weekend, has changed. Do you think it's our biggest game of the season so far?
Yeah, I wouldn't say because it's Arsenal. I wouldn't necessarily say whoever it was we were playing. I think just where it sits in the calendar after 2 wins, it is a bit of a statement of intent as to where we're going with December. I think, as Terry said, it's like keeping your head above water when you've got a wave of good teams coming your way. If we can just keep that momentum up, it's huge.
Yeah, it's a massive game, and I think it hasn't really been. I was just today researching some of the facts and preparing the questions for this show. It helped me realise how big a game this is. Obviously, Greg, you mentioned there where it falls in the calendar. We were going through a bad run. We've had 2 games that, on paper, we probably shouldn't have won either of them. And the fact that we've won those 2 games, we've surprised people. We've gone back to the form that we had earlier on in the season. We're looking like the old Everton, with a different team, with a lot of with important players missing. I think, and obviously you've got Arsenal as well, who are in a rut. This is the point where the win in Everton has to come out. But the win in Everton has to have absolutely no remorse for this Arsenal team who are feeling sorry for themselves. We've got to go in and we've got to try and wipe the floor with them. And if we do, it sets us up nicely for the Christmas fixtures. It sets us up nicely for the rest of the season, and it puts us closer to the top of the table and keeps us, in the European places. So I would argue this is our biggest game of the season so far. It's definitely got the most riding on it, because if we were to lose this game, God forbid, it'd knock us down in confidence again. It'd leave us a few points behind the pack. And it wouldn't undo the hard work, but it'd make you think we will go, back to normality again. If we were to win this game, though, however, I think it's a massive, massive statement if we can beat Arsenal. And Terry obviously mentioned there the last two games. How much will the Leicester game have boosted confidence? Because obviously we all saw yesterday, you will have seen on the Toffee Blues Twitter accounts as well, Mason Holgate and Dominic Calvert-Lewin having a lot of fun in the changing room after the game yesterday. It seems like confidence is riding high. How much will that benefit us compared to Arsenal, who are really the complete other end of the spectrum?
Well, you'd rather be confident than not confident, wouldn't you? Like, that just is true of all sport in general, isn't it? But it's not even so much on a personal level. The more familiar and more comfortable the players get in a team 11, a style of play, even though it's a sort of auxiliary style of play. It's not the way we started the season, but it's using the players we've got now. We've got a lot of strength at centre back, but we've got a lot of injuries at full back. The more performances we can put together and the more wins we can put together playing this way, the easier it becomes to play this way going forward. So you win this game against Arsenal, or even get a draw against Arsenal, I don't even think it'd be the end of the world, considering the amount of games coming up. You then go into the Christmas week, the English week, as players abroad call it, and you know exactly how you're playing, you know exactly who's going to play for the most part, and it's easier. Whereas if you're going in bad form and low on confidence, you're chopping and changing, you're trying to stumble upon something that works, and it can work against you. But yeah, you want to get as many results in a row together, because it just gives you that little bit extra going into a time where you need whatever you can get, because no matter how good you are, players get tired, they get injuries, etc.
Yeah, Greg, same question to you, mate. How much is the last two games, and in particular the Leicester game, which we spoke about in the extra time, which you can find on the channel as well, how much will that have boosted the confidence going into this one?
Yeah, huge. I think the biggest factor is 2 clean sheets on a row for a back line of 4 players who, 2 of them are playing generally at position. It's not a back line. We never played 4 players together before the Chelsea game. So for them to gel instantly, get 2 clean sheets against 2 attacking and capably attacking teams, huge for confidence for them. And the mood in our camps, Arsenal and Everton, must be day and night. You saw the videos, and Arsenal frustrated, desperate. I mean, their disciplinary record just shows desperation, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just, yeah. If we win this one and we get three wins on the bounce, it's gonna be a great Christmas for us, I think. We mentioned in the extra time as well, Terry, about how good Robin Olsen was against Leicester, how commanding he was in the area. Obviously we've spoke about the starting 11. We're not sure Carlo's going to pick him again, but would you like to see him again? I know you mentioned in the Leicester extra time, but I'll ask you again, if we've got any new viewers, should Robin Olsen play against Arsenal?
I'd like him to. He won't, though. I mean, Carlo can surprise you with the goalkeeping pick, as he has done twice already. I think we should keep him in goal. Personally, I know Pickford's form picked up a little bit in the last few games, but I still would rather have a less headline grabbing keeper, just a steady Eddie type, big imposing keeper who's comfortable in set pieces, and just let that settle. But it's not going to happen. He's Pickford's the number 1 keeper. Olsen's been brought in to give him a challenge / rest, whatever. So I'd like Olsen, but I'd be very surprised if he started.
Yeah, and obviously safe hands is the term, isn't it? The cliche term that goes around. And if I had to pick a goalkeeper that I'd use that term with, it's Robin Olsen. He's just definitely, and I can't understate how happy I've been with him whenever he's played. We've seen a fair few odd goalkeepers at Everton over the times, and Robin Olsen's not one of them. He doesn't look like he's got too many mistakes in him. He looks commanding. He looks like he improves our defence. Greg, same question, mate. Should Robin Olsen play against Arsenal?
Yeah, same as Terry. I don't think he will, but as I've said earlier when you asked me about the lineup, I'm very much, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If there's no reason to take him out of the team, why would you? I know he's only brought in, though, to rest Pickford, so I don't think that'll be the case.
Yeah, and obviously it's, as you say, that's the one in it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But football's a weird game, isn't it? You know, you've got football managers like to look at, and we mentioned it as well earlier in the show, about how some football managers like to look at what the other team is doing rather than what we're doing. And Terry made a great point. Focus on our game plan, less on Arsenal's. Let's go out and get 3 points. I think that's the order of the day. And then the last question, which I try and ask in all of these previews, is who is the danger player? Greg, I want you to give me one danger player for Arsenal who you think, if Everton are going to be vulnerable in this game, who's going to cause it for Arsenal?
I'd say it's probably Saka. I've watched Arsenal this season, and he's the only player I've been properly impressed with. Him and maybe Tierney. That Saka just plays like he cares, and a lot of the other players aren't at the moment. I think he's going to be dangerous, especially when we got sort of makeshift fullbacks.
Yeah, very really promising young player. Bukayo Saka, I'm really impressed with him myself. It just shows really the quality of the young English players coming through at the moment. There's been quite a lot. We've played against a couple in the last games, Harvey Barnes, Reece James at Chelsea. So that's a good answer to that. And he's not a player who sticks out to me as a danger player. When I asked you the question, I always had like a predicted answer in my mind, but Saka, that's one I'll definitely look out for in the game. Terry, another one. Who's your pick for Arsenal? Who's going to cause us problems?
Aubameyang. I know he's not been playing well this season, really, and especially in the last month or so. He's been, well, awful, frankly. But he loves scoring against Everton, and usually with players down the years who've had that gene, that usually overrides all form. If you like scoring against Everton, and you always score against Everton, like the Lampards, the Shearers, players like that. Doesn't matter what. You could have an injury. If you got on a pitch, you'd still score against Everton because it's just part of your makeup, and he's another one. So I worry about him. What a club we'd be to get his goal scoring form running again. Not including own goals.
Yeah. I mean,
so for me, he's still Arsenal's big danger man. He'd be Arsenal's big danger man for me with one leg, because he just has that knack. And sick of players like that, frankly. I've seen so many of them, but he's my biggest worry.
And that's the thing with world-class players. And in my opinion, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is a world-class player. The players like him have the character when they're in a bad run of form to pick themselves up and score, 5 and 5 or something like that. So obviously he's not been in the best form, but for me, that's my answer as well. Aubameyang is the player that Everton really need to look out for, but there's a few in the team. Obviously, we don't know which type of Arsenal is going to show up. Hopefully, it's one that Everton can win. And yeah, let us know in the comments. Are you hopeful for the Arsenal game? Give us your take on all the topics we've discussed. Yeah, go get yourself a deal on Everton Direct. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, subscribe to the channel, go find the podcast. And yeah, until the next one, we'll see you later.